And the reason why I go into this topic is because there is some fear by some people that meditation brings passivity. And I've talked with other coaches and with people who do work with executives, etc. And many of them have no interest in meditation because they think it will make them passive and mellow and emotionless and help them make them lose motivation, etc. So there is this feeling that I notice and I have heard in many people, and you might encounter that when you teach meditation. And on the other hand, and I don't know if this has been a topic of the course or not, but there's been some research coming up in the past few years about negative side effects that some forms of meditation can bring. So I felt like, okay, this is something that I really need to think about, because for me, meditation has never brought about passivity. It was never about kind of just passive resignation and acceptance of everything without taking action. It was never about that. And so after thinking, like, what is the difference? What's happening here? And having some conversations with other teachers, I realized that depending on the way you practice meditation, it may make you more passive. It may demotivate you. This is not the way I practice, or obviously not the way I teach. Otherwise, I wouldn't call mindful self-discipline. That wouldn't make much sense. Self-discipline is in a way about creating change. It is more active, it's more dynamic. And meditation in this framework is at the service of that. And of course, meditation will give you much more than the ability to achieve your goals. But for the purpose of mindful self-discipline, that's what people are usually looking for. So why does it happen for some people that they kind of lose motivation for other things, or they become overly passive? In my understanding, it's two factors. The first one is an unbalanced selection of techniques. And the second is an overemphasis on letting go. And this topic is probably a little bit controversial, but most people who practice meditation, and I share this with, they find it helpful. So I thought it would be interesting to share. So zooming into that first element of an unbalanced selection of practices. If you have practiced different styles of meditation, you might have noticed how they affect you differently. Now, I've practiced the self-inquiry, for example, which is like a pure being type of meditation for 9 years. And then after that, I've been practicing more of a focused type of meditation. And I've also practiced Zazen and other ones. And I can almost feel that it's a different part of my brain that is being activated depending on how I'm focusing my attention. When I'm observing everything, it feels very different than when I'm focusing on a single thing, which feels very different when I'm releasing all effort. So I think that in the next few years, we will see more and more comparative studies of different styles of meditation. And I hope that over time, we'll get a better understanding of what style of practice is better suited for different people and different goals. But the idea here, if you just get the two main styles of meditation, observation and concentration, and all of the different techniques out there, they will, most of them will fit into one of these two styles. So in observation meditation, we are emphasizing awareness and acceptance. It's very helpful for dissipating negative emotions. And the attention is broad, panoramic, but shallow, meaning it's not going deep into one thing. And the result of this type of meditation is that you see all things equally. There is that sense of equanimity, and that's why it's really good for dealing with impulsivity. Now, concentration meditation, on the other hand, focuses more on willpower and focus. It raises energy and motivation, and your attention is narrow but deep. So the result of this is that you're focusing on one thing to the exclusion of everything else. So understanding this already gives us a map. If someone comes to us and they are struggling with negative emotions, what's happening is a negative emotion arises and they kind of focus on it and they lose perspective of everything else. And so a type of observation type of meditation will be more helpful. If someone is struggling with distractions or with lack of motivation or low energy or maybe even depression, then we want the opposite. We want to raise energy and focus it. So my understanding from having had a look at that research on the negative side effects of meditation, one of the things is that it affects your ability to feel motivated for other things in life. And this doesn't happen for everyone, but for people who did it for a long time, in certain conditions, it did happen. So if this ever happens to you or to anyone you're working with, then the solution is you have to balance the observation styles of meditation with the concentration type. And balancing might mean if the person has 2 sessions per day, one could be one, the other could be another. If it is a single session of, let's say, 20 minutes, maybe you do 10 or 15 minutes of observation and then the last 5 minutes of concentration. But we want to be able to develop these 2 skills in our mind and to balance them because they're both needed. If we think about motivation, motivation is about feeling powerfully about one thing. It's not about feeling equally about all things. So if we only practice a style of meditation that creates a mind state of feeling equally towards all things, it's not so surprising that we lose motivation. And this is okay if we are monks and we don't need to, like we're only, this is the whole of our life. But for us householders, we live in the world, we need to take care of other areas of life. We have goals in other areas of life. Then we also need the ability to focus and to hold on to one thing and see it to completion. As to the other 2 styles of meditation, relaxation is also more passive in nature, but I have never heard or seen or experienced it being negatively affecting motivation. If anything, it replenishes you and helps you to dissipate emotional tension. And the pure being type of meditation, as someone who has practiced that for many years, it's more spiritual by nature, even though it can feel kind of like a person who doesn't believe in anything spiritual can follow that. It doesn't ask you to believe in anything. But at the same time, it takes you to a place inside yourself that is beyond all goals. And when you can access that place that is full of peace and full of bliss within yourself without requiring anything external, then you may love that place so much that you lose interest in everything else. So yeah, that type of meditation can also bring a sense of losing motivation. And there's no judgment in this. It may be right or it may be wrong. It depends on the context. In the Hindu tradition, a person would practice this type of meditation after 12 years of doing other styles of practice, or they would do this at the end of their life, after they have already retired and married and had kids and married off the kids. They have no other goals, no other duties in life, and then they just go for this. I have personally found it difficult to balance this pure meditation with being active in the world and having goals in the world. So again, it's about balancing different styles. And an overemphasis on letting go. That could be another thing. And, meditation is very connected with letting go and acceptance, and also with contentment. But letting go, acceptance, and contentment, they are water. As nature, they are like water. They are soothing, they are cooling. And motivation, focus, willpower as an energy is more like fire. And again, it's about having the right balance. Do you need more water or do you need more fire in your life? Perhaps in some areas of your life, you just need more water. It's not a focus for you. You don't want to become the top in your career. You just want to do good service in the world and have an income that supports your other goals. Well, so maybe that area of your life, you generate more water in that area. You are content with the way things are. Now, maybe in your spiritual practice, you are more goal driven, like you want, you really want to overcome certain obstacles and to achieve a higher state, etc. And so you would bring in a little bit more fire in that area of your life. So think of this as the 2 levers that we have as a human being, the water and the fire. water being more like serotonin. It's the hormone of happiness, of being okay in the moment, of being content. And then fire being more like dopamine. It's what motivates you to take action. It's what moves you. It's dynamic. So when there's an overemphasis in letting go, we see this in some teachings out there. There's usually you are discouraged to think about the future or about the present, about the past, and just be present always. And an interesting story here, after I gave my interview in Buddha at the gas pump, a man came to me for a single session of coaching. And he said, I've been practicing mindfulness intensely for a long time. And I'm always in the moment. And I feel very present and relaxed and content. But there have been some negative side effects that I wasn't aware of. And that is like, I'm unable to plan. I'm unable to plan, and my ability to think analytically about things is suffering, and my performance in my job is suffering. Because when the thoughts of planning come, I see them as thoughts and I let them go, rather than actually using those thoughts, and so that's an example of an overemphasis in letting go. And what I did with him, a single session, I just said, okay, you change your practice to this other style of meditation that is also observation, mindfulness, but includes focus in the middle. And he sent me a message after 2 weeks saying that the problem is finished. He's still able to be present when he wants to, but now he's able to focus when he wants to. I'm spending a little bit more time on this than I expected because I'm talking to an audience of meditation teachers. And I think that you might find situations like this with your own students. So yeah, that was too much water, not enough fire. And it's also the result of the monastic origins of some styles of meditation. The way that meditation is practiced if you live in the monastery, and that's the whole focus of your life, needs to be different than the way we practice meditation and the philosophy around it when we're trying to be urban yogis, so to speak, if we're trying to manage these two aspects of our life. So that's something to keep in mind.
We provide you with the certification and the credentials you need to teach mindfulness in professional settings. I invite you to check out our webpage at teach.mindfulnessexercises.com to learn more about the program, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside.